They did not fear pain. They walked toward it, silently, not with arrogance, but with purpose. Because the samurai understood a truth most men run from their entire lives. Pain is not the enemy. It is the gatekeeper. The path to true power has never been paved in comfort, not in the dojo, not on the battlefield, not in the heart. It is paved in discipline, in hardship, in nights spent cold and bloody, and mornings that begin again without complaint. This is not a lesson you read in books. It's not a quote on a wall. It is something you feel in your bones when your body begs you to stop. But something inside whispers, keep going. The samurai embraced pain not because they were masochists, but because they were masters. Masters of self, masters of fear, masters of the moment when most men break, and a few men become unbreakable. This is not a story of violence. It is a revelation of transformation, a forgotten code, carved not into stone, but into flesh, will, and time. In this video, we walk through the fire. We explore why the samurai welcomed pain and how it became their most sacred teacher, not just to survive the world, but to transcend it. Pain was never something to be avoided. It was something to be understood. To the samurai, pain was a mirror. It reflected who you really were, not who you pretended to be when life was easy, when the sword was sheathed, when the armor was polished, when no blood had been drawn. Anyone could appear noble, but in pain, when the muscles trembled, when the breath turned to fire, when every step forward burned like betrayal, that is when the mask slipped. That is when the truth appeared. And the samurai demanded truth. In training halls across ancient Japan, the way of Bushido was hammered into the soul through repetition, not in theory, but in endurance. Pain wasn't just accepted, it was welcomed because it carved away weakness like a whetstone to steel. There were no excuses, only refinement. Every strike of the wooden sword, every step barefoot on the icy floor, every hour held in stillness, every wound, every scar, all were part of something deeper than physical conditioning. They were rites of transformation, not into something greater, but into something truer. Because only through pain do we meet the part of ourselves that does not flinch, that does not yield, that does not apologize for existing fully in the fire. To the samurai, pain was not punishment, it was preparation, and to fear it was to remain untested, untrusted, and unworthy. Most people only meet pain when it arrives uninvited, a betrayal, an accident, a loss. They suffer it, they curse it, and then they run from it, spending their lives trying to avoid what was always meant to teach them. But the samurai, they chose pain. They walked into the storm, not because they loved suffering, but because they wanted to master it before it mastered them. There is a difference between being broken and being forged. The world breaks those who are passive. It shatters those who wait. But those who enter the fire voluntarily, they come out as something new. You cannot call yourself strong if you've never chosen struggle. The samurai knew that. They understood that comfort breeds illusion, and illusions kill faster than any sword. So they trained when others rested. They endured when others begged for relief. They made hardship a ritual, so when real hardship came, they were not afraid. They were ready. Because what you choose to face cannot ambush you. What you choose to endure cannot defeat you. And what you choose to suffer, with discipline, intention, and honor, becomes your power. A blade that has never met the grindstone may look sharp, but in battle, it will fail. The same is true of a man. Until you've been tested, until you've bled, broken, and risen, you do not yet know who you are. The samurai did not wait for pain to find them. They sought it out, because only under pressure can weakness reveal itself, not to punish, but to be burned away. Every repetition in the dojo, every dawn spent in silence, every bruise and blister was not a wound, but a weapon being built. This is the hidden truth. Pain is not just something to endure, it is something to wield. The samurai understood that unbreakable strength doesn't scream, it doesn't brag, it doesn't need attention. It simply stands. When others collapse, it moves forward. When others retreat, it acts. Even when the heart is pounding, even when the hands are trembling, even when the soul is cracking under pressure, that is inner steel. That is self-mastery, and it is earned, not inherited. In a world where everyone seeks to be comfortable, the samurai chose to be capable, because comfort doesn't protect you in war. Discipline does, resilience does. Pain, understood and mastered, does. Pain alone does not elevate a man, honor does. For the samurai, pain was never just physical, it was deeply ethical. To endure hardship was not only an act of strength, it was an act of loyalty. Loyalty to the code, loyalty to the self, loyalty to something greater. They did not cry out in agony because that would dishonor their discipline. They did not complain in defeat because that would dishonor their training. And they did not retreat from suffering because that would dishonor their name. This was Bushido, a life where how you suffered mattered as much as how you fought. Pain was sacred because it revealed integrity. The samurai did not ask, "How can I escape this pain?" They asked, "How can I meet it with honor?" Because pain is not an excuse to abandon your values, it is the opportunity to prove them. Even in failure, even in fear, even in the face of death. What mattered most was how one stood, and whether one kept the code when it hurt the most. In our time, honor is often a forgotten word, but for the samurai it was everything. It was the reason to rise, to fight, to endure, not for reward, but because the code demanded it. There is a silence that follows pain, not emptiness, but clarity. After the body has been pushed, after the ego has been humbled, after the soul has stood its ground in the storm, something shifts. The samurai knew this. They didn't seek pain for pain's sake. They sought the stillness that came after it, the calm after the battle, the wisdom after the suffering, the truth that can only be heard once the noise of fear has burned away. Because beyond the ache, beyond the bruises and scars, there is something more valuable than strength. There is peace. Not peace from the world, but peace within it. The kind that doesn't break under pressure. The kind that walks through chaos and leaves footprints of discipline behind. Pain was never the goal. Transcendence was. And that can only come when you no longer resist pain, but allow it to refine you. This is not a lesson taught in words. It is earned, in sweat, in silence, and in 1,000 unseen trials. The samurai did not speak of this often. They did not need to, because their stillness spoke louder than any sword ever could. We all face pain. Some hide from it, some numb it, some are broken by it. But the samurai, they walked into it, arms open, mind focused, spirit unshaken. They did not wait for life to test them. They tested themselves, because the one who welcomes the fire is no longer afraid of the burn. This is the essence of the warrior's path. Not to conquer the world, but to conquer the self. To sharpen the soul like a blade, against resistance, against hardship, against every whisper that says, "You are not strong enough." But you are, not because the road is easy, but because you choose to walk it. Every day, through sweat, through discipline, through voluntary struggle. That is what makes a man unbreakable, not how many battles he wins, But how many times he steps forward, knowing the pain is coming, and choosing it anyway. The samurai embraced pain, not because they were fearless, but because they knew something greater, that every flame endured is a piece of weakness destroyed. So the question is not, will you feel pain? You will. The question is, what will you become through it?